SmackDown came to us from the good city of Charlotte, North Carolina tonight. This is on the heels of what many consider a very divisive Royal Rumble. And we're officially on the path to the Elimination Chamber, which leads to the road to WrestleMania 42. We had another episode, another 6-hour episode of Friday Night SmackDown. No, it was not actually 6 hours, but it damn sure felt like it. On a show that was largely built around two Elimination Chamber qualifying matches that we'll get to here in a little bit, and Drew McIntyre trying to get his receipt on CM Punk and Roman Reigns for the burial job that they performed on him on Monday Night Raw. That's what tonight's episode was largely built around. And we'll get into everything. But if this is your first time tuning into our channel, hit like and subscribe. That helps us build this community. We are, like I just said, we're on the road to WrestleMania. The Royal Rumble was just a week ago. Elimination Chamber is just a couple weeks away. And then all roads lead to Las Vegas for WrestleMania 42, where we already know the main event is going to be CM Punk versus Roman Reigns. So with that in mind, we're going to have a lot of great content coming your way over the next several months. Whether the product is clicking on all cylinders, or whether they're missing the mark. We're going to bring the content and tell you why they missed the mark or why they're killing it. So like and subscribe, join our community. We would love to support, to have you support our community. And thanks for joining. With that, this is Wrestling Brother Talk Smack. So SmackDown kicked off with Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre wanted to get on the mic and give his receipt for what happened on Monday night when CM Punk and Roman Reigns pretty much said that, hey, Raw is the A show, Netflix is the A company that we are televised on. This is now the top title because I have the top guy holding that top title right now, but I'm also the top guy. Really just burying how Drew McIntyre, now being the world champion on SmackDown, has kind of lowered the bar for that championship. And this year, because it's going to be CM Punk and Roman Reigns, which they're literally glossing right over Finn Balor, who's likely going to get another title shot. They're glossing right over that, but we know all roads lead to CM Punk versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. No one wants Roman Reigns versus Finn Balor in the main event of WrestleMania this year because Finn Balor has been made to look like a joke over the past several years. Well, he makes his way to ringside, but he is attacked not by Cody Rhodes. He is attacked and ambushed by Cody Raheem Rhodes. Yeah, you heard me right. Cody Raheem Rhodes. It is Black History Month, and Cody Raheem Rhodes was on SmackDown last night. He ambushed him, cuts a promo, basically talking about the CM Punk Roman Reigns segment, saying that, hey, it was a wood measuring contest, but to remember, they're lucky he's not in it because they don't call him Cody Raheem Rhodes for nothing. And that's it. I mean, y'all can go home now. That was like the best thing on SmackDown. So if you made it this far on the pod, that was the show. That was the entire show. And that was one of those moments, if you know, you know. On social media, a lot of times Cody is referred to as Cody Raheem Rhodes because of his affiliation with the Black community. And I think you kind of get the drift if you're talking about a wood measuring contest and he's Raheem. You get it, right? Well, that ended up being kind of a common theme uh, where Drew McIntyre is literally trying to make his way to go cut his promo, and he gets ambushed because the top of the next hour, Drew McIntyre makes his way out again. This time he actually gets in the ring, but Jacob Fatu attacks him this time. Both Jacob and Cody were escorted out of the arena and told that, hey, you guys will be able to figure it out at another time, but we got to get you out of here. Then third time was a charm for Drew McIntyre. At the top of the third hour, he came out, stood on top of the announcer's desk, talked about the lineage of the championship belt that he's carrying, saying that Hogan carried it, Michaels carried it, all these, really just talking about the lineage and all the history behind that championship. Also rallying the people in the SmackDown locker room. Like, everybody in the SmackDown locker room should be offended by the burial of this championship and our brand by those two on Monday Night Raw. He talked about how he shows up to work, how he was the champion during the pandemic era. It was really, what's funny is Drew was really a babyface tonight. Like, if you really look at it, he got ambushed soon as the show opens. He tries to do it again, gets ambushed again, and then he comes out and cuts a babyface promo, putting over the lineage of the championship, talking about him carrying the company during the uncertain times, right? And really being like the locker room leader, standing up, grabbing the mic, and voicing why his peers in that locker room should also be upset about the promo that was cut on them on Monday night. The other thing that the show was really built on was building the Elimination Chamber. We had 2 Elimination Chamber qualifying matches, and we also found out about a qualifying match that's going to happen next week on SmackDown. Well, this week, we saw in the main event, we saw Randy Orton versus Solo Sikoa and Aleister Black. Now, when you have a match like this that's main eventing, that there's 3 guys in this match, and one of them is there just to eat the pin. And it was like, there's no other outcome of this. Like, you knew going in that Randy Orton, just looking at it, Randy Orton is the guy that's probably going to win this match. The only wrinkle they added, they had Trick Williams come out right before the match, and he sat and observed the match, which we really don't know why he had any business observing this match, because he wasn't announced in the next Elimination Chamber qualifying match or anything like that. So, in fact, his next opponent is going to be Rey Fenix, who he's already faced. So it kind of didn't make sense from a storyline standpoint, unless they are trying to build to something between him and Randy Orton. Maybe that would be a good Mania match for Trick Williams. So maybe they are building to that, but there really wasn't anything that led you to believe that. But just that little wrinkle made you believe that, okay, maybe he's coming for Randy Orton, because Randy Orton has RKO'd him, and they have had some exchanges in the past. So didn't know if that was going to add a different dynamic, and then maybe Aleister Black was going to go over. But I knew that Solo Sikoa was there to eat the pin, and that is exactly what happened. Um, Randy Orton clears the ring. Solo Sikoa is, Randy Orton's kind of, looking at Aleister Black outside the ring. Solo Sikoa is kind of waiting on Randy Orton to turn around. He's got his thumb ready to hit him with the Samoan spike. Randy Orton's just kind of, acting like he's not realizing that Solo Sikoa is behind him. But we all saw it coming. I think everybody saw it coming except Solo Sikoa. He comes for the Samoan spike, but before he even gets the thumb anywhere near, gets RKO'd, eats the pin, and Randy Orton is going to the Elimination Chamber match. So really no surprise there. Next, we had Tiffany Stratton returning to SmackDown for the first time in many months. She had a great showing at the Royal Rumble, and she's getting right back in the mix. This was another one of those matches where you knew going in she is likely going to be the winner. And I hate it, because you had two. It was another one of those matches where you had three people, and one of them you knew was going to eat the pin. So it was Tiffany Stratton, Chelsea Green, Lash Legend. Lash Legend also had a great showing at the Royal Rumble. She eliminated 5 participants, and all of them were stars. It wasn't like she eliminated, just, a bunch, just a bunch of JC Janes and, the Janie come latelys, right? No, Charlotte Flair, Io Sky, Bella Twins, like she got Lash Legend got legends out of the way in this match, in the Royal Rumble match. So she was featured prominently, and we know, if you saw WWE Unreal, you know where they pegged Chelsea Green, which is absolute BS. But they have her pegged as this, mid Carter, and that's it. That's where they see her. So you knew she had no chance of winning this match. You knew that Lash was a little too new to the roster, and that Tiffany Stratton is kind of this person that they are going to kind of protect. So you knew she was going to get the win, and she did. She hit the world's prettiest moonsault on Chelsea Green, and again, just like again, you can literally look at the lineup and telegraph exactly what they're going to do, and that's exactly what they did. They had Tiffany Stratton go over on Chelsea Green. Now, Chelsea Green, in my opinion, has potential to be huge. Like, she is she has mega star potential. She can cut promos. She can work in the ring. She doesn't, the good thing about her, she doesn't mind putting others over, and that's a great place to be. And I think sometimes when you are that selfless, sometimes they use that to against you. And so I think that's what's happening. She's selfless. She just wants to go with the story. She loves being on television because she's always, if anything, she's always on television. She always has a spot on television no matter what. So Tiffany Stratton is moving on. And then we got the announcement of another Elimination Chamber qualifying match. That one being, and it's kind of shocking, we're going to see Cody Rhodes versus Jacob Fatu versus Sami Zayn. And again, you look at it, you know there's 2 people that could possibly win it. There's one that's the overarching favorite, being Cody Rhodes, and then Jacob Fatu is kind of like your backup, which you would think they would separate these 2 and have both Cody and Jacob going into the Elimination Chamber, but somehow they decided against it. And Sami Zayn is going to have to eat the loss here. And so it's those 3 are going to face off next week in an Elimination Chamber qualifying match. And looks like there's going to be another elimination match, qualifying match on Raw featuring Rhea Ripley. And Rhea Ripley low-key buried the women's championship. And this is something I have been saying for weeks, if not months at this point. We have too many top stars in the tag team division for the women. And it has dumbed down and brought the prestige of the actual women's singles championships down. And it's no fault of the 2 champions. It's no fault of Stephanie Vaquer, and it is no fault of Jade Cargill. There's no one for them, because the important women, the women that they should be infused with, are all feuding in the tag team division. At points during the Royal Rumble, it felt more like it was tag team warfare. Let me help my friend. Oh, let me go help this. And then you had the Bella twins helping each other. And then it was like a tag team rumble more than it was an actual individual. And then on this episode of SmackDown, you had Rhea Ripley say that her priority is the tag team championships on the road to WrestleMania. Her priority is the tag team championship. But if she has the opportunity for some more gold to add to the collection, so be it. Kind of like, I'll win the little, I'll win the little heavyweight championship. I'll win the little, the little WWE Women's Championship. But these tag team titles, this is where it's at. And to me, that so takes away some of the prestige and the allure of these championships to where they feel like mid-card titles, and the Intercontinental and the U.S. Women's Championships feel like afterthoughts. Those are like European championships now, right? Because of how far down they have brought it, because they are trying to elevate one. I think Charlotte and Alexa was good. Cool. Put them together, let them cook in that division, but and it's cool to even partner up. I mean, it's you've had going into Manias before, you've had tag team champions even face off against each other at Mania. If you remember, John Cena and Shawn Michaels were tag team champions going into their epic WrestleMania encounter. So you can still do that, but you can't tell me that John Cena and Shawn Michaels during their feud were like, yeah, but our priority is defending our tag team championships. No, I was a runner-up in the Royal Rumble. I'm coming for your championship, Cena, and I'm going to win it like it. And it just doesn't have that feel. And for Rhea to say that, I was just like, oh, it was a little on the cringe side, because just a couple years ago, that was the championship that meant everything. That was the championship that she went in the 2023 Royal Rumble, started at number one, and lasted the entire time to get her shot at WrestleMania and to become that dominant women's world champion. And now her priority is being tag team partners with Io Sky. What can you do? What can you do with that? On a lower level, we we had Tama Tonga in action against Shinsuke Nakamura. They alluded to their, I guess, feud that they had in New Japan. This was a restroom break match. I'm sorry. And let me just say this. Tama Tonga's entrance is badass. I was in Chicago a couple years ago in probably Tama Tonga's last singles match that I can remember. And I remember his entrance was badass with the fire and everything. And I think aside from Solo Sikoa, he is the only one in MFT that truly has a bright future as a single star if booked right. But with the face paint and everything, like, it's just not working. I think it's much better when he doesn't have the face paint. Um, it falls flat. I'm glad he got the win. It's something to build off of, but this match was not it. This week, we did not get a U.S. Open challenge because Mello did not feel that Miz deserved a shot at the championship, which doesn't make sense to have done this, because you're going to beat him anyway. So why not just make it a U.S. title challenge? It was a pretty good match. Miz is one of those underrated guys from the Ruthless Aggression era, I guess, or maybe the PG era. I think he's a little on the underrated side. He's a former world champion. He does his job in the ring. I mean, no, he is not, Shawn Michaels with the moves, but he knows how to work a good match. He knows how to cook on the mic. He can go toe to toe with anybody. And this is crazy. This is crazy. And correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but we had the whole Mello don't Miz, and then they broke up, and they never actually got a one-on-one match until last night. Correct me if I'm wrong. I could be wrong. I'm not necessarily a historian, but if if my memory serves me correctly, that's the first time they actually faced off one on one. We had the matchup Io Sky and Rhea Ripley taking on Kiana James and Julia for the tag team championships. Rhea and Io go over, and Julia took the pin, which was surprising. We also had Liv Morgan, the Women's Royal Rumble winner, asserting herself, saying that she is the greatest Women's Royal Rumble winner ever. What credentials you as the greatest Women's Royal Rumble winner ever? I have no clue. But I like Liv. I like her character. I like what she does. She was definitely the right person to win. But she came out with Raquel, and they kind of hinted at, wanting to address the elephant in the room. But they were interrupted. They were interrupted because a storm was coming. Jade Cargill comes out and gets in their face, and she's like, "Hey, I'm her. Like, if you don't want these problems at WrestleMania. So, I really suggest that you make other choices, but I'm here." And then Jordan Grace comes out, Nick Aldis comes out and makes it official. He says, "Hey, Liv, if you can come on a show and talk, you can come on a show and work in the ring." So I think we all know where this is going. So he put Jordan Grace and Jade Cargill against Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. Now, I watched it on my VPN, so we actually got a back and forth exchange in the ring between Jade and Raquel Rodriguez, but on television, they only showed you like hinting at them kind of facing off, but they actually worked a little bit during the commercial break segment that, if you watch the regular telecast, you got. So it's like a little house show spot where they actually worked a little bit, and it was pretty cool. But they just hinted at it on TV to kind of keep it fresh if it's something they want to go back to. So it's a smart move. You kind of gave the Charlotte crowd something special. Um, and then still protected the mystique of the two giants kind of facing off. In this match, we saw Jordan Grace get the roll up pin on Raquel Rodriguez, and later we got announced that finally Jade Cargill, after almost 100 days, is going to get her first title defense. It's not going to be at Elimination Chamber. It's not going to be at Mania. It's not going to be at a Saturday night's main event. It is going to be on next Friday's SmackDown. Yep. After all this time, we are going to get a women's championship match, Jordan Grace versus Jade Cargill, next week on SmackDown. Yeah, you're welcome. Jordan Grace has no chance of winning this championship, especially on an episode of SmackDown, especially being placed where it is. I almost think something could happen. Is this where we're going to see Bianca Belair return? Like, something's going to happen to cost Jordan Grace this match, I think. And that's going to build to something in the future. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. They could very much just make her, they may give her a Drew Sammy type match where it's kind of one-sided. Jordan Grace gets a couple of hope spots, and then Jade Cargill, because Jade Cargill does need that. She does need that one decisive, because she's just been working with enhancement talent. She's been working with glorified enhancement talent since she's been champion. She's been working with Michin and B-Fab and just and in no feuds of any substance since Tiffany Stratton was off of TV. And again, it's because all the people that make sense for her to be in a feud with are in a feud for trying to climb the tag team ladder. That's where they're at. Overall, this episode of SmackDown, again, I alluded to it in the beginning. It felt like 6 hours. This was another episode of SmackDown. If it was 2 hours, you would have eliminated the minutia, and you would have had a way more compact episode, and it would have felt way more important, and everything would have been elevated, and it would have felt like a great episode of SmackDown. But by it being 3 hours, it is very difficult to make it a great show, and it's so freaking long. And, I think they did a great job with the Drew thing, with him coming out multiple times trying to cut this promo. That was kind of your thread. Like, are we ever going to get to hear from Drew? Because I ain't going to lie, when he came out on the table, I almost expected Sami Zayn to attack him on the third go round. So that was good. Um, Again, Elimination Chamber qualifying matches, I think they kind of take the lazy way out with the triple threats, but at least it's matches with stakes, right? So, those are the good things to take away from the episode. Um, Overall, I would probably give it a C, but again, if you cut a lot of the minutia out, like maybe if you watch it afterwards and are able to kind of fast forward through, it'll feel like a much better episode. It would probably be more like a B. But yeah, because of all the minutia and because of it feeling so long, I got to give it a C minus. Like I said, if you made it this far, please make sure you like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so that when we drop episodes, you get notified right away. They go right to your cell phone. You don't have to worry about, oh, are they coming out today? Are they coming? No, it'll let you know when we drop. Also, follow me on socials. I am Wrestling Brother on TikTok. I am Wrestling Brother on Instagram. I have a post that's doing really well, almost 50,000 views across all social platforms, where I'm talking about Jey Uso's um, past year, where he went from the top of the mountain to now kind of in the tag team division. I kind of break down my thoughts on what's happening there, and that post is doing very well. So if you want to check that out, go to my TikTok at Wrestling Brother, or I am Wrestling Brother on Instagram. Until next week, this is Wrestling Brother Talk Smack. We'll see you next time.